I think we are doing perfectly fine, but for the future, I think none of the sides know exactly where this cooperation will head, whether it's going to end in, you know, what we like and love to talk about, the strategic partnerships in that form. I don't know, but, you know, certainly this is a unique time in our mutual history that has never been experienced, even during the, not of course during the Soviet times, not before the Tsarist Russia, where Turkey and Russia fought 11 major wars, and I mean really wars, you know, and so we will see how it will develop. But so far everybody is happy. Even Russian side agreed to lift the visas to visit both countries actually, and the target for our bilateral trade is $100 billion for 5 years, and when you take into consideration is $40 billion already achieved in very short period of time. It's not a surreal target, I would say.
I would just very briefly on the EU thing say that even in the absence of the, you know, real the prospect of EU membership anytime soon, the reform process in Turkey is continuing, and civil society, as I said in my presentation, is getting stronger and stronger, and credit to Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu's party, to the government, that they continue really to pursue reforms. On the Kurdish side, we would like to see a little more progress, but overall we have now a constitutional package before us which contains some very good stuff, and all of this is happening without the EU breathing down our necks. So I think, you know, we're on the right path there, and I really don't have much to say about Russia.
The Russians will be happy, I suspect.
Spared my tongue. Yeah.
Thank you. There are lots of hands, which is great. Let me start right over here, and we'll go on from there. Yes, please. And please do tell us who you are, too.
Sure. Richard Kramer from the National Endowment for Democracy. This question, not only for you, Mr. Babali, but also for Ian. I'd hoped that Ambassador Jones would have been able to stay, but she gave a sort of a very positive role about the potential Turkey can have in Central Asia. And not to throw a spanner in the works, because I do see a lot of potential there. However, it's hard for me to imagine that the deeper that influence goes into that region, that Russia is just going to simply sit idly by and watch what has been traditionally theirs for about the past 150 years to be somewhat subsumed by increasing Turkish interests, primarily economic. I also look at this as Russia itself having increased trade ties and better relations with Turkey. And I guess I see sort of what I think you were alluding to previously, Ian, which is going to be a conflict of interest that is going to be potentially coming to head in that region. And I'm wondering how Turkey, if that assessment is possible, I'm wondering how then Turkey is going to be able to potentially respond to it. With what kind of leverage does it have, given the direction that Russia may go and given their interest in the region? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like to take that one at the start, and then we'll come back to the floor?
Yeah, I think that assessment would have been correct for the 90s, but you know, with new Turkish foreign policy paradigm now that is in effect, it's no longer you know, in the calculations of any you know, decision maker's mind that, you know, Turkey and Russia will be head-on in conflict or competition in Central Asia. No, that's paradigm has shifted there quite effectively. With that 40 billion trade, you know, you are very careful about your statements and acts against each other. I mean, if Russia was, you know, suspecting Turkey's motives there, would they lift the visa? You know, all these allegations about Turks, you know, supporting Chechen fighters and others, you know, why they would lift that visa if they believed so. So I think, you know, they value that, and I read this, and this is, I think it's very historical that Russian newspapers are now calling for Turkey to mediate in Kyrgyzstan, you know, in the recent issues, you know, that's you know, proposed by the Russian newspapers. I don't know what role we may play there, but, you know, certainly they are looking forward to contribute. So at least now, I don't see such a competition or conflict in there. There's no reason for it. I think that what we need is more confidence building atmosphere that will take root for some time.
This does raise an interesting question, which probably applies equally to the discussion about the Middle East, which is that how far does a country like Turkey, that is traditionally a rather conservative status quo actor in foreign policy terms, wish to go from an active commercial relationship to political relationship to things that get into the security realm and can cause problems with major actors like Russia. I mean, there are risks involved there as well. My own sense, I don't know, others would have a better sense of this, is that Ankara has actually been extremely cautious about, wary of getting into trouble with Russia on those issues, which could also be a constraint. Yes, right here on the aisle, please.
Ercü Akman from Silk Road. I was very touched by Amber and Zaman's presentation, but I think a moral platform by itself is not sufficient. To be effective, it must also be just. If Turkey is asked to cross a bridge of morality, I think it should be approached from both ends. Then we would know what happened to a predominantly city like in Armenia and what happened to their population. I think I also heartily agree with her that the threat of passing an Armenian resolution in the United States Senate is detrimental to the relationship of Turkey and the United States. But my question is this: should this bridge be crossing the parliaments of Sweden, France, or Argentina? A bridge we all know very well that at the beginning of the century, the Belgium of Leopold II never crossed by leaving 7 to 10 million dead Africans behind. Thank you.
Amber, did you want to comment on that?
Question, was it?
Oh, well, comments are okay too.
Well, to answer your question, and I would say this: I hope I'll live to see the day when the issue is debated in the Turkish parliament. That's the kind of Turkey I want to live in.
Okay. Yes, please, right here. I think the gentleman in the dark tie. Please.